How's it going, everyone? My process fails, and I'm here with a little bit of King Fortress 2, but that's not really gonna be what this video is gonna, be about at all. So, basically, you're just gonna end up watching this video as I talk about a few things. And I made my YOLO peer pressure video a while back, and I kind of enjoyed making that just because it gives me a chance to rant like I normally can when I'm just around my friends and stuff. So it's kind of different. I kind of enjoyed it. So I'm actually gonna make another one, and this one is gonna be about like trouble with your parents. Like, and please, no one actually take any of my advice like to heart or anything I say. This is how I think. I'll have you guys know I'm 18. I'm not exactly. I'm still on the verge of being like a kid. So this is different, but it's. Now that my parents are kind of out of the picture and all that sort of stuff, I kind of understand a lot of this stuff better, and there's quite a few changes. Oh, look at this quick little tear. Just kidding, I only got one kill. So yeah, I now understand a lot more of the things that were going on. And mostly, I kind of want to start with talking about when curfews. That's the word I was thinking of. Curfews. So a lot of the time, curfews are set by most parents actually, even if it's like the slight curfew where you're like, I'm hanging out with my friends, and they're like, alright, just be back by 9. When I was a kid, I always had my curfews and everything, which was like 8 o'clock until I got to like grade 7 or something like that. I don't really remember anymore, and then it was kind of 10, and then once I hit 15, my curfew was basically gone. Like, it didn't really matter as long as my parents knew where I was, sorry. But yeah, so that was a pretty nice little tear there. But so a lot of the times, parents, they try to stand by their time as hard as they possibly can. Like, they'll say, be home by 9 o'clock, and if you walk in that door at 9:01, you get it. You are in quite a bit of trouble. I thought this guy was a spy, so I chased him. So you're in quite a bit of trouble. That's the way it was in my house for quite a while. But I'm just gonna let all you parents know how it is in a lot of situations. I know none of you are really parents that watch me. I doubt there's even like any of you. But this is just kind of one of the things I think, just for everyone to think about. The whole curfew thing, good idea. It kept me out of trouble. It kept me from being out all night with some bad people doing some stupid stuff in the middle of the night where we could get away with it because no one could see us. So curfew, forever, it wasn't like I was one of those children that was ever angry about having a curfew. But the thing that really always made me angry was when my parents would get mad at me about being a minute late. Yes, I do understand, you gotta try to enforce those rules so it doesn't slip up. I understand that, yes, it makes sense. But the difference with it is there's a huge difference between, half an hour to an hour and a minute to 5 minutes. A lot of the time that was the angriest I'd get, is when my parents used to be like, you're grounded. You're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. Because I'd be like a minute late or something like that, and that would always make me the maddest out of anything they ever did. Like, I hated that, because honestly, a lot of the time it's just an excuse when, your children would be like, oh, sorry, there was a line here, so it took me a little bit longer to get back. A lot of the time that's a lie, but you can't take everything as a lie when they tell you it. You gotta accept some of the things as truths. So that was a huge problem with my family, because there would have been times where there was without a doubt times where I would be talking to my parents or something on the phone or whatnot, and I'd be like, yeah, don't worry, I'm just buying my Slurpee or whatever, buying my pop, and then I'm coming right home. I'll be home before 7 o'clock, and they'd be like 6:30 or whatever, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I just need to walk up the road, and I'd walk into 7-Eleven or wherever. And I'd realize that it was a huge line. And I'm like, it probably won't take me too long. And all of a sudden I get my Slurpee, and I hang out for an extra 5 minutes with my friends, and I head home. And I walk in that door at like 7:05 or whenever. and they'd get mad at me about it. And I never, that always kind of made me the angriest, because I'd be telling the truth, but they'd be taking it as if I was lying to them about everything. Which, you know, as a kid, you're always in that struggle to try to get trust. That's your huge thing, is you want your parents to trust you, and no matter what. Ugh, yeah, I'll talk about what I was just thinking later. But that's your huge thing, is you always want your parents to trust you, and it is true. Like, all the parents and everything, they might be like, no, my child just wants to do bad things, blah blah blah. No, a huge part of it is they want to get your trust. But my huge problem with it, it was really hard to get my parents' trust. Like, okay, I know a lot of you have like a curfew that's set to, like, you know, not too fun of a time. You know, maybe your curfew is set to like 6 o'clock or something like that. And yeah, it does suck, but that's the way it is. Your parents at least still trust you like that. In the way that I have always been raised and everything, I would get a call every 5 minutes. Like, you know, my curfew was up until, like, I think I said, I don't know, my curfew was like 8, it was like 7 o'clock, I think it was, 7-ish, but, I'd get a call every 15 minutes from 3 o'clock when I got out of school until 7 o'clock when I arrived at home, at latest. And there'd be a call every 15 minutes. What are you doing? Where can I find you? What are you doing? Who are you with? Blah blah blah. And it's because, honestly, my parents just didn't trust me enough for me to, you know, be out there on my own, doing my own thing. So they constantly felt like they needed to check in on me to do their best to keep me out of trouble. And actually, I'll talk about something else quickly here. This is really weird for me to watch, because I'm actually watching this gameplay as you are. I already played this. Which is different for me, because you know that a lot of you probably know that I don't pre-record videos, and I never talk over videos, which I'm doing right now. So it's kind of weird for me to be doing this right now. But anyways, so yeah, it was always a huge thing about trust, and it always is and always will be with everyone's parents. It's just one of the hardest things to earn, and one of the easiest things to lose. It doesn't matter how you look at it, that will always be true. It's always easy, you know, okay, it's hard. Your parents, it takes a long time for you to get their trust, but when you do, like, say, you know, to get their trust, you'd have to do something perfect quite a few times in a row, you know, maybe come home on time, perfect, blah 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 blah, for like, honestly, like years. And that's how long it took me. But a lot of the time, it really is like years for you to get your parents, like, solid trust, like, oh yeah, okay, I trust you to not do anything bad when you go out. It takes a long time, but then, which has actually happened to me, I won't say the reason for it though, but, you get caught doing like one thing. Actually, I think I was already talking about that. Anyways, I got caught stealing from a local convenience store. That slip up. Um, my parents never really trusted me again. Like, they never trusted me again. That was when I was 13 or 14, and they didn't trust me again until I was 16, 17. Sort of a thing, you know. Like, maybe not like that huge of a span, but they never really trusted me like they did to begin with. If I didn't slip up like that, the trust would have been way different than it actually ended up being. So, you know, trust is that hard thing that we all want. We all want to get our parents' trust, but it's hard to get. It's hard to earn, hard to keep. But it's one of those things. Anyways, I was talking about like curfews and stuff, and then I started talking about trust and whatnot. But anyways, I kind of want to get back to that. So what actually, in my opinion, what should happen, which made me the happiest and my parents the happiest, I think, is this is for the parents, don't set your expectations too high for them to be home on that time with a curfew. You know, if it's set for 7 o'clock, oh yeah, I just want you guys to watch this, by the way, because watch my sick deacon skills. Yeah, I know, I'm a champion. Oh, and he gets away with it. Anyways, so if you don't set your priority, like your whole everything on them being on at that time, at them being back in the house at that time. You know, you want them to be home around the time. That's just fine, and you're gonna be happy if you set your expectations on them to be home at, like, say you tell them to be home at 7, but set your expectations so you give them a little bit of leniency until, you know, maybe 7:15 or so. You know, because you don't know, they might have got distracted by something or something they don't want to tell you, and you have to, honestly, you have to respect your children, like, not wanting to tell you some things. It's the way they are. You can't force it out of them. That'll make them really mad. But anyways, so that, I think that'll make you the happiest, because, like, they're still being home around when you want them home, so you can't be mad about them being home at a decent time. But, you know, they also get that extra kind of, you can't really say a grace period. Okay, this is what you have to do. You can't tell them to be home at 7:15. You have to tell them to be home at 7, but give them a grace period until like 7:15. So if you tell them to be home at 7:15, we all know that they're just gonna be like, "Oh, don't worry, guys, I don't need to be home until 7:15," and then they'll come home at 7:20. And otherwise, they'll come home at like 7:05. So you gotta give them that little extra grace period, kind of like, because then they get their extra time. You know, they know, well, they don't know, but you're not gonna be mad at them, so they're gonna be happy about that, and you're happy because they're home on time. So like that's what I think about the whole curfew thing. Well, okay, but yeah. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about respect, because respect is one of those things that really angers me when I see kids without it. For all of you that don't respect your parents, how do you expect to earn their trust or earn freedom or anything like that without respecting them? That's an honest thing. Like, I'm not old yet, but I understand. I understand where they're coming from at this point. It's not like I was when I was like 13 or whatever. I get it now. So, you know, I'll kind of like just talk about that a little bit. So with respect, if you guys don't know like kind of what that is, it's basically like treating your parents like they're like authority. Basically, like, you gotta teach them, you gotta, like, or not teach them, sorry, you gotta listen to them and just kind of like do what they tell you to do. Don't talk back to them. Like, you can't, it's one of those, children will always talk back. You're not gonna stop that at all. But you kind of gotta listen more. Like, you gotta listen to your parents a lot, and that's a huge respect thing. But with respect, respect is gonna, look at me being nice, letting this guy go first. Um, but yeah, respect is, it's a huge thing. Because if you don't have respect for your parents, honestly, if you don't have respect for your parents, you're gonna have respect for no one, and it's not gonna get you very far. But the whole respect thing is, to have trust, you need respect. And don't say, "Oh, I don't respect my parents and they trust me to go out." No, not to be mean here, but it's because they've given up. There's a huge difference between the two things. Like, "Oh, you know, I talk back to my parents and stuff and they still let me go out." It's, okay, I'll say there, it's one of two things. Number one, they've given up on you. Like, not like they haven't given up on you, like they don't love you anymore and you're just there now. Like, not like that, but they've given up on, you know, trying to teach you right from wrong. They've kind of just, you're just kind of there at that point in that sense, but they do still care for you. Where the other thing is that this is probably happens a lot more with younger parents, and if you're an only child or the oldest child, which is also the only child, an only child will be the oldest child, but it probably happens a lot more when I'm talking to you guys, is that they don't want to they don't want to act like your boss. That's really the easiest way I can put it. They don't want you. They don't want to be. They don't want to act like a parent because they don't want to disappoint you or make you sad. Which I'll think, because like for a lot of people, it can be like your child cries, and then that's a huge thing to you. Like that'll ruin your entire day. So you just keep them happy. You do what they want to keep them happy, which isn't the way it should be at all. It should be the complete opposite. honestly, you gotta go out of your way for your parents. And the reason I'm kind of talking about this is because with me and mine, it's kind of spread out now. It's not. When it gets to a point, I'll say it like this: when it gets to a point, it's already too late. When you realize what you've done wrong, it's by far too late. This guy turned right around and see me. Whoop, there I am. It's already too late. Like, I realized it, and I know it's too late to really kind of change anything like that, which is unfortunate. I had respect for my parents, but I didn't. Making them happy was like a number 3 priority. It wasn't number 1, which is the way it should be. Yeah, sorry, I was just reading what it said on the screen there, sorry. So yeah, you know, respect is it's a weird thing to even talk about, but it's always there, pretty much. So you gotta have it there. That's all I have to say. But at the same time, parents have to give their children kind of a mutual respect. It shouldn't be the same as, you know, like they should respect you, because they should basically wait on you at that point. Like if you want something done, they should do it. That's just the way it is, to be honest. It's the way you have to make your parents happy. With a child, you have to give your children respect to an extent. Like, you can't, it's like, not because I'm saying this, it's not like you should treat your children as slaves. It's basically the opposite of that. You can expect them to do some things, but you have to show them, what I'm actually trying to say here, not really you need to show them respect, but you need to show them some gratitude and stuff. Like, you know, you don't need to be like, oh, here's $1,000, like, here's $100 allowance because you took the garbage out or something. Like, it doesn't need to be like that, but like, even like a simple thank you, anything like that, like, oh, thanks for doing the dishes, oh, thanks for taking the garbage out, like that. It might not seem like it, but it actually does mean a lot once you get to a certain point. It really does mean a lot to, you know, your children and all that. So, you know, a simple little bit of gratitude, a simple thank you, and yeah, there's nothing, honestly, the thing that I don't get with that people seem to have problems with sometimes, is I have no problem with a little bit of, you know, giving your children money, sort of a thing. Like, some people are completely against giving them allowances because they need to work for their money and they're not working hard enough, blah blah blah. Sorry, but kids have things to buy. It might not seem like it, but I remember being a kid and looking at some things and looking in that window at that new game that came out, and oh, that game looks so sick. And just wanting to buy it, but not having any money. You know, allowance is cool. It's a cool thing. Like, I'm not saying I didn't get allowance. I never did. My entire life I never did, but I wanted it. And I was willing to do a lot of work for my allowance. I'd have been sick. Never worked that way for me though, unfortunately. But you know, I can't quite complain about it or anything like that. Stuff just kind of happens. What else is there to talk about? What else is there to talk about? I'll let you watch the gameplay for exactly 30 seconds to a minute. Exactly 30 seconds to a minute. And I'll be back. Because I just need to think of what else I can actually talk about, because I'm not really prepared. And I'm not willing to pause it. One sec, guys. Oh yeah, okay. That was only like 10 seconds, but I did think of something that I actually was thinking about earlier today with a few of my friends. Ooh, the sandwich, hardcore. And that's, is it alright to hit your children if they do something wrong? It's weird. It's a weird thing to talk about for me because, I'm a half and half person. You know, on one side, child abuse is a huge thing. Like, that matters. That's not something you can really joke around about and being like, oh, I'm just trying to teach them right from wrong. No, that's not cool. You don't do that sort of stuff. That's not the way it should be at all. You have to Like, yes, you should talk to them. You should talk to them. You shouldn't just straight up hit them. But I was kind of, I got a nice little ass whooping every once in a while when I did something wrong. And no, I don't find anything wrong with that at all. Like, yeah, I deserved it. Honestly, like, one time we had a glass coffee table, like it had like like a glass pane in the middle of it, and I remember I jumped off my couch and I landed on it and I broke it, and I got one for that. And was I mad? Yeah, for a few minutes, but guess what never happened again? I never jumped on that glass table again. It's that simple. Yes, it can be too extreme, and it is extreme. It gets to extremes kind of often, actually. It kind of gets pretty bad pretty quickly. But at the same time, if you just like, you don't need to like, oh, I'm gonna kill you sort of a thing. But just like that sounded probably quieter, which it should have, because I tried to make it sound quieter. Like just like a few little taps sort of things, like just to, like, bad, like you're talking to a dog, like not like that at all, but like what I'm actually meaning is, oh, I died here. Is if you teach them, like, if your child jumps on, like, I'll put it into my whole thing there. I jumped on the glass top coffee table. I broke it. Would have my parents just been like, don't do it again? I probably would have done it again. I wouldn't have probably even hesitated. I just would have did, ooh, what are they gonna do? Tell me not to do it again? Ooh. No, but I got a few little love taps there, and that coffee table was never jumped on again, and I never even thought about of jumping on it again, because I realized what would happen if I did. It changes quite a bit of stuff awfully quickly. It kind of, good thing, bad thing, just like I was saying, which is why I'm half and half about it. It's a good idea and it's a bad idea at the same time. But all in all, I think I favor it, but not to an extent, I should say. I do favor it, like, kind of a, it'll get the point across. It'll get the point across 100%. It will not happen again. But at the same time, people will take my thoughts there way too seriously, like really overboard. And then all of a sudden, like, you have child abuse cases where the children are getting, like, beaten half to death because they took a cookie without asking, which isn't like that. That doesn't deserve, like, to be beaten for, sort of a thing. Like, this is the way I see it. You can hit your children, but not hard enough to ever leave a bruise. Like, if you hit your child hard enough that it can't ever sit down again, there's a problem. But if you, like, just kind of, like, just give it a thing. If you can't be too aggressive about it. There, that's the best way I can put it. Put it. Yeah. But down here, I'll give you a little bit of backstory on. Oh wait, I never told you about me stealing from that store. I just realized I talked about that earlier. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory of me. How my life has been, how it's always worked. So I'll start with the most common thing about me, the thing that always gets brought up in conversations with me around my friends, and that's the fact that I don't sleep. I just don't. All my friends know I don't. I go to bed maybe 2 or 3 times a week at most. I'm not sure why, it's just I prefer it. Don't ask any questions really about that, because the whole thing behind it is I don't get tired, number one. Like, I can sleep if I want to. I'm not like, I don't have insomnia. I just don't feel like sleeping really. But number one, I don't get tired. Number two, I have an extra 8 hours every day to do whatever I want. It's just free time at that point. And so there's been some pretty rough times for me and stuff. And I'll talk about the whole stealing thing, because apparently I just remembered I didn't talk about that yet. When I was 13 years old, 13 or 14, one of the two,
I thought it would be a good idea to steal from the local convenience store, which was a Max. And you know, I did it like every day for quite a while. And you know, it was just because I could mostly. Like, it's not like I was like, oh, I really I I was poor. I'll be honest, I was poor, but I wasn't poor enough that, you know, if I didn't steal from the store, I wouldn't have food for that. It was one of those things, like, I'd be hanging out with my friends, and I'd be like, walk in and walk out, and all of a sudden I had like a Red Bull or something just to show off, basically. So that's one of my biggest regrets, because I got caught, and that was a pretty big deal for a little while. And like I said, lost my parents' trust, lost quite a bit of things from that. So that one kind of wasn't a very fun time for me. That was basically a low point in my life. Um, and honestly, I'm kind of really. I have some other things I can talk about, but not for like an hour and for like a half an hour or anything. This is just kind of like a 10-minute rant sort of a thing, sort of videos. But if you have anything you'd like me to talk about, I'll just get this out of the way right now. Like if you have a topic, basically is what I'm saying, about anything there is, just let me know. Sorry, just let me know and I can probably talk about it. There are a few things I'm trying to stay away from, and that's anything about religion or anything. I shouldn't say no. Yeah, basically anything about religion, and that's about it. Just 'cause I don't feel like offend or anything like racist. Anything like about, well, I can talk about like the racism, but I'm not gonna talk about anything racist. I was actually gonna say anything about politics, and that's because I know, you know, some people are really deep into that sort of stuff, and I'm not. So I'd probably end up saying something really off, and maybe making someone mad. Because here, I'll test it out right now. 2012 presidential debate. I'd like to point this out to begin with. I am Canadian. I know nothing about America. I know barely anything. Want to know what I know? I know three people, something about presidents. I know that Obama is running, Mitt Romney is running, and I don't know if Ron Paul is still running, but Ron Paul was kind of the dude I wanted to win, because he made the most sense. Um, I don't want to talk about politics. This isn't a good thing for me to talk about, because I know like nothing. But I know a lot of people want Obama in, and a lot of people want Mitt Romney in. I'll be honest, Mitt Romney just sounds like an asshat to me. He sounds like a jerk, like someone that shouldn't be there. He sounds like he only cares for himself. I'll be honest about that. That's just what I think. I don't know anything better. I watched like one debate. A lot of people want Obama in, but I don't like Obama. And don't try to pull the, oh, is it just because he's black card? No. Just shut up, okay? Just shut up and leave the video if that's what you're trying to say right now. No, like the whole thing with it is I find that he messed up the economy. Like, I find that the economy is worse. Look at this lag all of a sudden. That the economy is worse than it was. Straight up economy was worse than it was. And that's his fault in my opinion. And I don't know why people would want him back in office after that. Like, oh, don't worry, I messed it up, but I'll fix it. I got this, trust me. I don't like that. It's the same thing why, like, the U.S. was a lot of things. I don't know this for sure. If I say anything wrong, don't judge me, because I honestly don't know. But we'll take a look at something like George W. Bush. George W. Bush, by a lot of places, is considered like the stupidest president ever. I don't know anything about him, what he stood for, anything like that. All I knew is he was really stupid, and then he was brought back into office, which a lot of people have problems with. I don't know who he is, but apparently he's a bad dude. Which a lot of people are like make fun of America for you know, bringing someone like that back in office. I messed up there. I meant to stab him, but I forgot it took so long to switch weapons. Anyways, guys, we're coming to the end of the video here. If you have a topic you'd like me to talk about, please leave something in the description. Leave a comment, and I will definitely check it out. And anything else like that, you know, you can leave a comment or anything you'd like to say. Completely forget about my whole presidential debate thing, 'cause I know nothing about it. But yeah, so it's at an end right now. All I'd like to say is thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.